Welcome to this video on how to do screen sharing through the Microsoft Teams app. This will only work for the Microsoft Teams app. I have a student that volunteered her time to help me with this video. And so what I want to show you is what are all of the options that you have on how to share your computer and different versions of your screen. So if I scroll over so that I can actually see my menu options, that middle option is the share button. So if I select that button, I now have multiple options. I won't be playing any audio, but just as a side note, if you do plan on showing any sort of YouTube videos or any sort of video that also includes any sort of audio, you do need to make sure that you are selecting the include system audio, as well as you not having any additional audio software, whether it's a headset, a microphone, or any other additional speakers attached to the computer, because the students will not be able to hear it. They will only be able to hear whatever is playing through the computer speakers. And so if you're going to be switching between multiple tabs, the best option for you, or between multiple windows, the best option for you is to share the desktop screen. If you just want students to be able to focus on one particular screen, no matter what you are doing, then you would be using one of the windows. Or you could also be doing Microsoft Whiteboard, which is an interactive tool. Your students can write on it, you can be asking questions, you can be doing a math problem, and your students will also be able to write on your screen. So let's take a look at some of these options. So if I share my entire screen, I can see that I've got a paint window open. I can switch over to this other window, and whatever tabs that I click open here, because this is what we've been working on in the class, the students will be able to see. Any changes within your screen that you are doing, your students can also see. So if I open up this other window, my students will be able to see that. If I come over here, my students will be able to see this other window. And so you just need to be careful what it is that you're sharing, and have everything that you plan on sharing with your students open and readily available. So if I go back here to my meeting screen, and I say, okay, well, I'm done sharing my entire screen, and I just really so then I would just select here, stop sharing, and then I just really want my student to focus on that set of questions that was based off of that YouTube video that we were watching in class. So I'm going to again select share, and this time I actually want to select what window I want to share with my student. And so I really want to share this other window here, so that she can only see these questions that are on my screen. And so if I switch out of into any of these other tabs, she'll also be able to see each one of those tabs that I switch into. However, if I switch out of this window, so let's say I really wanted to continue working on this journal that I started on my experiences with the coronavirus and how it's changing my community, I can be over here in this window, and she does not see this on her screen. She will only see this particular window. And you actually know which window it is that she's watching, because it actually has a red border all the way around it. And that's also another way that you know that you're sharing that particular screen. And so I can continue working on this other here. I can be working on my paint, on an equation. I can be checking my email, and she will only be seeing these particular questions. I can say, hey, let's go back to that video, and because it's in that same window, she will also see this change. These are the only two things that I would probably be switching into. So if I don't want her to see these anymore, I can go back to my meeting window, and I can stop sharing there. And let's say now I want to be able to interact with my students. So let's go ahead and share Microsoft Whiteboard. If it is the first time that you're using Whiteboard here, then you will actually also see that there are that it will actually ask you, do you want to open up a brand new application for Whiteboard, or you want to do something else. And so instead of doing that, what we're just going to do is we're just going to select that we want to use it inside of Teams. So I can start working here on an equation, and I can say, let's take 3 to the second power plus 5 times 7, and then I'm going to divide that by 2 times 4. Now, a problem that I've encountered is the fact that because it is interactive, I have had students that have, and I'm going to ask my student to do this, to do this favor for me, that they just like, oh, I can write on this board as well, and they just randomly grab a different color or even the same color, and they just start drawing little dots or slashes through the entire screen. So she could do that for me, just grab a different color and start, you know, drawing slashes, or even they've even started deleting what I've got on my screen. And so like, she's one of my good students, so she's going to try to solve the problem. But I've had students that were like, oh, we don't need that number there, and they just start deleting. So an easy fix for this is you actually can click on where it says stop presenting, and so now this is not on her screen anymore. And I've actually had students that suggested, okay, well, why don't you share a paint window? And so I've actually done that. And so I opened up a new paint tab. And so now she will see this paint tab, and I can give her the exact same problem, and I can say I've got 3 squared again, plus 5 times 7. And I'm going to divide that whole thing by 2 times 4. And my students will all be able to see this problem. They can all work on this individually, and you don't run into the problem of having anybody deleting anything that you have on your screen. So at least that helps a little bit with getting rid of some of these options that are, or some of the unruly students that decide that they want to disrupt the class. And so then once we're done with this problem, I go back to my meeting window and I click on stop sharing. And now the student no longer is seeing this on her screen. Those are the best ways to share your screen through the Microsoft Teams app. Thank you. Todavía no.